All
Go to
right.
your slideshow.
Okay, we're recording now. So, could everyone mute themselves? And we're going to get into this presentation concerning the temple scroll. And okay. All right. So, Brother Kurt.
He's muted.
Oh, he's muted. All right. All right.
Okay, I'm off, unmuted.
All right. Open us up with a word of prayer.
Okay. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah Elohim, we give you all the praise, the glory, and the honor. We're especially grateful you have called us to fellowship with you and to hear a message from you through our pastor. Thank you for this technology that enables those who are unable to gather together can still tune in and hear from you. We ask that you bless each and every one of us and those who will be listening to this message later. We just ask that you pour out an abundant blessing upon us. Open up our heart, open up our eyes, open up our ears. Fill us with a passion through your Holy Spirit for this message that we're about to receive from you. Bless our pastor as he delivers this message. May it only be your message that he's delivering unto us. And may you bless him abundantly for his hard efforts and his studies to get closer to you and to share it with us in a way that we might understand. So to you be all the praise, the glory, and the honor, especially for your son, Yahushua, who you sent to us to teach us, to lead us, to guide us. We ask that you bless us this day and bless our pastor. And we give all praise, glory, and honor and thanks to you. In the name of your son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen.
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 Can you try follow along?
All right. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Okay, but we're gonna jump right in. All right. So, exploring the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Temple Scroll. As always, we're going to be seeking to align it with our canon. For those of you who missed the intro last week, the Temple Scroll is the largest of the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found, over 18 sheets and approximately 26 feet long. So it's very, very lengthy scroll indeed. And we started it last week, and we're going to jump in today, and we're going to expand on what we went over last week. Oops. All right. Okay, so we're going to pick it up with column 2. Says, for what I shall do shall be dreadful. I'm sorry, folks. Give me 1 second. This is the wrong spot. Okay, so all right, so today the Temple Scroll speaks of Rosh Hashanah, you know, and it also speaks of Pesach or Passover, you know, in this part of the scroll. So in column 17, it says the priest and they shall place crowns. Cuts off, picks back up. They shall rejoice because atonement has been made for them. It cuts off, it picks back up. This day will be for them a memorial, eternal regulations for their generations in all their villages, and they will rejoice. And they, yeah, it cuts off. You know, so we have missing parts from this account, but I think it's fair to say that this was likely a Rosh Hashanah gathering. And the reason I say that is because it seems to go in a chronological order, as you'll see as we continue forward, you know. And so the only thing that comes before Pesach or Passover would have been Rosh Hashanah. So I really think that's what that was. Okay. Then it picks back up and it says, in the 14th day of the first month at twilight, they will celebrate the Passover of Yahuwah, and they will perform sacrifice. Prior to the evening offering, they will sacrifice it. And this aligns with our canon in Leviticus 23:5. It says, in the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahuwah's Passover. Every male, that's Leviticus 23:5, which does align that, you know, Passover is at the same time as in our canon. And then the Temple Scroll says every male of 20 years old and older shall celebrate it, and they shall consume it at night in the courtyards of the sanctuary, and everyone shall rise early and will go to his tent. Okay, so we see that every male of 20 years older and older was celebrated. 20 years old was the age of, or was and is the age of accountability. And so, you know, once one becomes accountable for their own actions, you know, and they're an Israelite, they are to go and celebrate it. And it says they shall consume it at night in the courtyards of the sanctuary. Everyone should rise early and will go to this tent. So hereby we're given some insight as to how Passover was actually observed, you know, back in those days, you know, which we don't find in the scripture. So I thought that was pretty exciting. Yeah. Okay. And then we have the Dead Sea Scrolls. It picks back up and it says the 15th day of this month, there will be a holy assembly. In it, you shall do no menial work. It is the feast of unleavened bread during 7 days for Yahuwah. So you see it's going right in order. Okay. And Leviticus 23:6-7 does bear witness to this. It says on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahuwah. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And the first day you shall have an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. You know, and then the Temple Scroll picks back up. I'm gonna have my first reader read, you know, where it picks back up at.
Throughout these 7 days, you shall offer each day a burnt offering to Yahuwah, 2 young bulls, a ram, 7 yearling lambs without blemish, and 1 he-goat for the sin offering, together with its offerings and libations, according to the regulation for young bulls, rams, lambs, and the goat. The 7th day there will be a solemn assembly for Yahuwah. On it you shall do no menial work.
Hallelujah. All right, so Leviticus 23:8 does align with that. It says, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah 7 days, and the 7th day is a holy convocation. You should do no servile work therein. You know, and so we see there is a beautiful alignment with our measuring stick. You know, then it gets into first fruits. All right. Can I have my next reader read column 18, please?
For this ram, this day, and a he-goat for a sin offering to atone for all the people of the assembly, and its offering and its libation, according to the regulation. Tenth of finest flour mixed with oil, a quarter of hin, and the wine for libation, a quarter a quarter of hin, and it will atone for all the people of the assembly for all their guilt, and it will be forgiven them. For the generations, this will be an eternal regulation for them in all their villages. Afterwards, they shall offer the single ram only once in a year, the year of the sheaf waving. You shall count off for yourselves 7 complete Sabbaths from the day on which you fetch the sheaf of the wave offering. You shall count off until the day following the 7th Sabbath. You shall count off 50 days, and you shall fetch a new cereal offering to Yahuwah from our villages, cakes of new leavened bread, first fruits for Yahuwah, wheaten bread, 2 cakes of bread. Each cake will be of 2/10 of finest flour. The heads of the clans of the tribes of Israel will bring them and offer.
Hallelujah. Okay. And so this also aligns with our canon in Leviticus 23:15 through 17. It says, and ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought forth the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahuwah. Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves, or 2 tenths bills. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baking with leaven. They are the first fruits unto Yahuwah. Hallelujah. All right. Oh, my clicker stopped clicking. All right. Got to do it. All right, Cal, my next reader, read column 19, please.
In the 4th quarter of the day, they shall offer the burnt offering of the first fruits, 12 yearling lambs without blemish, and their offerings and their libations according to the regulation, and the priest shall lift. The first fruits shall be for the priests, and they shall eat them in the inner courtyard, an offering with the bread of the first fruits. And afterwards all the people will eat new bread of tendrils of barley and corn cobs. This day will be proclaimed holy and eternal precept for their generations. They shall do no menial work, for it is a feast of weeks, and the feast of the first fruits for an eternal memorial. And you shall count off for yourselves from the day on which you carried to Yahuwah the new cereal offering, the bread of the first fruits, 7 weeks. There will be 7 full weeks up to the day after the 7th Sabbath. You will count 50 days, and you will offer new wine for the libation, 4 hins for the tribes of Israel, 1/3 of a hin for each tribe. And on this day, all heads of 1,000 of Israel shall offer with this wine a burnt offering to Yahuwah, 12 rams.
Hallelujah. Okay, so here it is. It speaks of the Feast of First Fruits, the Feast of Weeks, and Feast of First Fruits, and the countdown and so on. You know, and then column 20, it continues. It says rams and their offering according to the regulation, 2 tenths of finest flour mixed with oil, 1/3 of a hin of oil for each ram with its libation, and they will offer a burnt offering, 2 bullocks, 1 ram, and 7 yearly lambs, and 1 he-goat as a sin offering to atone for all the people of the assembly. It cuts, must have cut off somewhere. It picks back up. They're offering in their libation according to the regulation for the bullocks, the ram, the lambs, and the he-goat, a fire sacrifice of fragrance, appeasing to Yahuwah. In the 4th quarter of the day, they will offer. And then continues, and the rams and the libation, and they shall offer peace offerings, 14 yearly lambs, and their offerings and their libations according to the regulation for the rams and for the lambs. After the burnt offering, they shall make them. Cuts off, pick back up, and their fat they shall burn upon the altar, the fat surrounding the entrails, and all the fat there is upon the entrails, and the lobe of the liver over the kidneys he shall remove, together with the fat which is on top of them, and that which there is over the loins, and the tail close to the spine, and the priest shall burn everything upon the altar with their offerings and libations. It is a fire sacrifice of fragrance, appeasing before Yahuwah, and every offering with which a libation is offered shall be offered according to the regulation. Hallelujah. And it continues on, and every offering with which license is offered, or if it is a dry offering, they shall collect a part of the memorial, and they shall burn it on the altar. The remains of it they shall eat in the inner courtyard. The priests shall eat them with unleavened bread. They shall eat no yeast. It shall be eaten on this day, and upon it the sun shall not set. And all your offerings you shall put salt, and on all your offerings you shall put salt, and shall not cease the covenant of the salt forever. They shall set aside a contribution for Yahuwah, a wave offering from the rams and from the lambs, the right leg, the breast, the jawbones, the stomach, and the shoulder blade, up to the bone of the upper foreleg. They shall wave them a wave offering. And this agrees with Leviticus 2, verses 12 and 13, which says, as the oblation of the first fruits, ye shall offer them unto Yahuwah, but they shall not be burnt on the altar for a sweet savor. And every oblation of thy meat offering shalt thou season with salt, not to leave the salt out. Neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy Elohim to be lacking from thy meat offering. With all thine offerings thou shalt offer salt. Okay, so next the temple scroll begin to speak about the other first fruit offerings, i.e. the first fruits of wine and oil, which we've only just learned was kept of Israel via the Dead Sea Scrolls. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a clue, because the current folks that lay claim to be the inheritors of the traditions and ways of Yah, they're not doing this. And it says, even though there's evidence within our measuring stick or our canon that supports the practice, and a lot of people, say they don't see it, but if you don't want to see something, you won't see it, but it's actually there, So one of the first things is to understand that Yah did command his children to keep first fruits. He commanded them to bring the first fruits, unto him. This is found in Deuteronomy 6, verses 1 through 10. Can I have my next reader read Deuteronomy 26, that is, 1 through 10, please?
Okay. And it shall be, when thou art come unto the land which Yahuwah the Elohim giveth thee for an inheritance, and possesseth it, and dwellest therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which thou shalt bring of thy land, that Yahuwah thy Elohim giveth thee, and shalt put it in a basket, and shalt go unto a place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose to place his name there. And thou shalt go unto the priest that shall be in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, that I am come unto the country which Yahuwah sware unto our fathers for to give us. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand, and set it down before the altar of Yahuwah thy Elohim. And thou shalt speak and say before Yahuwah thy Elohim, a Syrian ready to perish was my father. And he went down into Egypt, and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous. And the Egyptians evil entreated us, and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. And when we cried unto Yahuwah Elohim of our fathers, Yahuwah heard our voice, and looked up on our affliction, and on our labor, and on our oppression. And Yahuwah brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. And he hath brought us into this place, and hath given us this land, even a land that floweth with milk and honey. And now behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which thou, O Yahuwah, hast given me. And thou shalt set it before Yahuwah thy Elohim, and worship before Yahuwah thy Elohim.
Hallelujah. Yeah. So take note that verse 2 said that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth. Yeah. Did you catch that? Thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which thou shalt take, which thou shalt bring of thy land, that Yahuwah thy Elohim giveth thee, and shall put it in a basket, and shall go unto the place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose to place his name there. So this is a direct command for the Israelites to take all of their first fruits and bring it to Yah. And verse 10 told us that now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which thou, O Yahuwah, has given me. This is what we're to bring to Yah, the first fruits of the land, right? So question becomes now, what is the first fruits of the land? Well, I'm glad you asked. And I'm going to get an answer just as soon as I can get the clicker back clicking. All right. Deuteronomy 11, 10 through 14 answers that almost. It says, for the land which thou goest in to possess it is not as the land of Mizraim or Egypt from whence you came out, where thou sowest thy seed and waterest it with thy foot as a garden of herbs. But the land whither ye go to possess it is a land of hills, valleys, and drink of water of the rain of heaven, a land which Yahuwah thy Elohim care for. See, it's a land which Yahuwah our Elohim care for. Don't you know that ye are a land, or ye are lands in which Yahuwah thy Elohim care for? Amen. Selah. The eyes of Yahuwah thy Elohim are always upon it. The eyes of Yahuwah thy Elohim are always upon thee, from the beginning of the year even unto the end of the year. And it shall come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yahuwah your Elohim and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in due season. See, your land has a due season in which it is to bring forth. The land has a due season in which it is to bring forth. And ye lands, make a joyful noise, all ye lands. Ye lands have a due season in which you are to bring forth. Selah. Now it goes on to say, the first rain and the latter rain that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thine oil. Food for thought. The corn, wine, and oil can speak to the good, the truth, and the love. That's supposed to be in ye lands. Amen. Deuteronomy 7, 12, and 13, tells us, that tells us, Deuteronomy 11, 14 told us what is the fruit of the land. The fruit of the land is the corn, the wine, and the oil. And the second witness is found in Deuteronomy 7, 12, and 13. It says, wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that Yahuwah thy Elohim shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers, and he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb. Then I say all you lands will bring forth. And the fruit of thy land, thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil. The increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep, in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. So I want you to see what the fruit of the land is, because, in Deuteronomy 26, we saw that the commandment was that we bring forth the first fruits of the land. And so here it is in Deuteronomy 11, 14, as well as in Deuteronomy 7, 13. It tells us what the fruit of the land was. The fruit of the land is thy corn, thy wine, and thine oil. So if we're to bring forth the first fruits, then we'll have to bring forth the first fruits of the fruit of the land, i.e. the first fruits of corn, the first fruits of wine, and the first fruits of oil. Amen? Amen. Okay. Deuteronomy 12, 17, and 18, and Deuteronomy 18, 1 through 5. On next reader, please.
Thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of thy corn, nor of thy wine, or of thy oil, for the firstlings of thy herd, or of thy flock, nor any of thy vows which thou vowest, nor any freewill offerings or heave offerings of thy hand. But thou must eat them before Yahuwah thy Elohim in a place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose. Thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant, thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates. And thou shalt rejoice before Yahuwah thy Elohim in all that thou puttest thy hand unto.
Hallelujah. Yes, please.
Okay, Deuteronomy 18:1. The priests, the Levites, and all the tribes of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire and his inheritance. Therefore shall they have no inheritance among their brethren. Yahuwah is their inheritance, as he has said unto them. And this shall be the priest, and this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice. Whether it be an ox or a sheep, they shall give it unto the priest, the shoulder and the 2 cheeks and the maw. The first fruit also of thy corn, thy wine, and thy oil, and thy first of thy fleece of thy sheep, thou shalt give to him. For Yahuwah thy Elohim has chosen him out of the tribes. For Yahuwah thy Elohim hath chosen him out of all the tribes, to stand to minister in the name of Yahuwah, him and his sons forever.
Hallelujah. Okay. So if you look at the part of Deuteronomy 12 that precedes verses 17 and 18, you'll see is talking about, keeping the feast and what you can do at home and what you can't do at home, and we see in verse 17, it tells you what you can't do at home. Thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of the corn or of thy wine or of thy oil. That you have to bring to the house of Yahuwah, as we see in verse 18. But thou must eat them before Yahuwah thy Elohim in the place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose. So you weren't allowed to do that at home because that did not belong to you. That does not belong to you. That belongs to Yah. And Yah's representatives upon the earth are his priests. And this is why we see in Deuteronomy 18, where it speaks of the priests, the Levites, and all the tribes of Levi, who have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They eat the offerings of Yahuwah. So as we see in verse 3, it says, and this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice. This is how they got fed. It's even by Yah blessing the people and the people blessing Yah in return, via his conduits, i.e. the priest and Levites. And so we see Deuteronomy 18:3 saying, and this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be ox or sheep, they shall give unto the priest the shoulder and the 2 cheeks and the maw. And verse 4 said, the first fruits also. Well, what are the first fruits? The first fruits also of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil. So this has always bothered me when I read about the Feast of First Fruits. Because you read about the Feast of First Fruits in our canon, over in Leviticus, and it mentions nothing about bringing the first fruits of wine and oil. It just speaks about first fruits. Now, is this because it just wasn't mentioned, or is it because it was extracted? I don't know. I don't know if it was redacted, extracted, taken out, moved, removed. I don't know. All I know is they had more first fruits than just barley and wheat. And if you notice, everything, all these first fruits that they were bringing to the priest also used in worship. They also used it in worship. They used the barley to do the wave offering. They used the wheat to do a wave offering, and they used the wine for the libations. They used the oil for the menorah, and for offerings, So I pray you can see it only makes sense. It only makes sense, So, the next thing we run into in the temple scroll is concerning the first fruits of wine. But I didn't just want to bring it on you without, showing some validation from our canon, that is our measuring stick, that, you know, hey, this stuff is actually there, even though it has ceased being done, and, you know, it was actually there in our face all along. You know, but you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
You know, so you have my next reader pick it up with column 21, you know, of the temple scroll, please.
Before Yahuwah, and the leg of the offering will be for the priests, and the beast of the wave offering, the shoulder blades, the jawbones, and the stomachs of the portions, as an eternal law from the Israelites, and the upper foreleg that is left from the shoulder blade as an eternal law for them and for their seed, the heads of thousands from the rams and from the lambs, 1 ram and 1 lamb for Aaron and for his sons, and for the Levites 1 ram and 1 lamb for Aaron and for his sons, and for the Levites 1 ram and 1 lamb, and for each clan 1 ram and 1 lamb for all the clans of the 12 tribes of Israel. And they shall eat them in the outer court before Yahuwah. The priest shall drink them first, and the Levites, Israel, the chiefs of battalions first, and after them all the people, from the oldest to the youngest, shall begin to drink new wine and eat grapes and the unripe fruit from the vines, because on this day they shall atone for the new wine. The children of Israel shall rejoice in Yahuwah's presence, eternal law for their generations in all their villages. They shall rejoice on this day at the appointed time, when they shall begin to pour out a libation of drink, a new wine, over the altar of Yahuwah year by year.
Hallelujah. So here it is. We see it says, from the oldest to the youngest shall begin to drink new wine. And that's not talking about kids. Let me stop right there. Let me stop right there. That's not saying get your kids drunk, that the kids can drink wine. No, remember that we read earlier that it was everyone from 20 years old, on up. Okay, yeah. So, that's the youngest. 20 years old, that's the youngest. So from the oldest to the youngest shall begin to drink new wine and to eat grapes and the unripe fruit from the vines, because on this day they shall atone for the new wine. Okay, and they shall rejoice on this day at the appointed time, when they shall begin to pour out a libation of a drink, a new wine, over the altar of Yahuwah year by year. And actually, we have this Pentecost, if you would, coming up on June 18th, I believe. So just keep that in mind, mark that on your calendars, and we're going to move forward. To the first fruits of oil, because that's what comes next in the temple scroll. It begins to speak of the first fruits of oil. It says, from this day you shall count off for yourself 7 times 7 weeks. There will be 49 days, 7 full weeks, up to the day after the 7th Sabbath. You shall count off 50 days, and you shall offer new oil. From the dwelling places of the clans of the sons of Israel, each one of the clans, half a hin, refined new oil. And they shall offer it the first yield of the oil over the altar, the burnt offering of the first fruits before Yahuwah. And it continues on in column 22, kind of breaks off, pick back up. Says 2 rams, breaks off, pick back up, and he will atone with it for the whole assembly before Yahuwah. Breaks off 3 tenths of finest flour mixed with this oil, half a hin. According to the regulation, it shall be a burnt offering, a fire sacrifice of fragrance appeasing to Yahuwah. They shall burn this oil in the lamps, the heads of thousands with the princes of, because I'll pick back up, 14 lambs in their offerings and their libations, according to the regulation for the rams and for the lambs. And the sons of Levi shall slaughter the, cuts off, pick back up, and the priest of sons of Aaron shall sprinkle their blood upon the altar all around, and they shall burn their flesh and their fat over the altar of the burnt offerings according to the regulation, and the offerings and their libations they shall burn over the fats. Cuts off, pick back up. Fire sacrifice of fragrance which appeases Yahuwah. And they shall set aside from the rams and from the lambs the right leg and the breast of the wave offering, and as the choicest part, the shoulder blade, the jawbones. I like the way the Temple Scroll says jawbones, but like the KJV says cheeks. You know, I used to wonder what cheeks it was talking about, you know, but this is more self-explanatory. Jawbones. Okay, and the stomach. And it says, it shall be for the priest as a share in accordance with their regulations, and for the Levites, the upper foreleg. Afterwards, they shall take them out of the children of Israel, out to the children of Israel. And the children of Israel shall give the priest 1 ram and 1 lamb, and to the Levites 1 ram and 1 lamb, and to each clan 1 ram and 1 lamb. And they shall eat them on this day in the outer courtyard before Yahuwah. Eternal precepts for their generations, year after year afterwards they shall eat. They shall anoint themselves with the new oil and with the olives, because on this day they shall atone for all the oil of the land before Yahuwah once a year, and they shall rejoice. You know, and I thought it was particularly interesting, the wording that's found here, how it speaks of them atoning for the wine, you know, for the corn, for the wheat, for the corn, the wine, and the oil. They're atoning for it. And once, you know, you put that in conjunction to what we've learned, you know, previously, that, you know, all these things have a spiritual significance that speaks to us directly as people and such. You know, you can see why, you know, that corn, that wine, and that oil needed to be atoned for. You know, so it's a beautiful picture, spiritual picture there that's unfolding. You know, but let's continue on with column 23. It says, all the sons of Israel in their dwelling places, and after the festival of the oil, they shall offer the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel the wood for the altar. Yes, there is a wood offering as well. And they shall offer on the first day the tribes of Levi and Yehudah, and on the second day Benjamin and the sons of Joseph, and on the third day Reuben and Simeon, and on the fourth day Issachar and Zebulun, and on the fifth day Gad and Asher, and on the sixth day Dan and Naphtali. They shall offer on the festival of the wood a burnt offering and their libation according to the regulations. So you see, each day, you know, you have 2 tribes that's bringing forth wood for the altar. You know, when you put that in conjunction to when Yeshua came and walked the earth, and Yochanan the Immerser was baptized, and then he was talking to the Pharisees, and he was saying, you know, the axe is already laid to the roots of the trees. You know, speaking of the scribes and Pharisees and Sadducees, you know, you can see the wood for the offering, the wood for the altar, rather, say like. Okay. Oh man, I lost my place. Okay.
Second line, it says according to the regulation.
Okay. It is a burnt offering, a fire sacrifice of fragrance, appeasing to Yahuwah, 1 bullock, 1 ram, 1 yearly lamb without blemish for each one of the tribes of the 12 sons of Yaakov. Cuts off, pick back up, and they shall prepare them on the 4th quarter of the day over the altar after the perpetual burnt offering and its libation. The high priest will offer the burnt offering of the Levites first, and after it he will burn the burnt offering of the tribe of Yahudah. When he is burning it, they shall first slaughter the he-goat before him. He shall take its blood to the altar in a sprinkling bowl, and he shall put some of his blood with his finger on the four horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and the four corners of the enclosure of the altar. He shall pour out his blood over the base of the enclosure of the altar round about, and he shall burn its fats on the altar, the fat which covers the intestines and what is over the entrails, and the lobe of the liver with the kidneys he shall remove, and the fat which is over them and which is over the loins he will burn everything upon the altar with his offering and its libation. It is a fire sacrifice which appeases Yahuwah. And it cuts off. You know, and that is actually it for today. You know, so I pray you guys enjoyed that. I pray you learned a little something, or something was made a bit clear. You know, I thank everyone online for joining as well. But at this time, we're gonna bring it to a close.